back to the Child of Cancer Perspective, and thank you guys for continuing to stick with me during this journey, giving me the opportunity to really not only share my own story, my own personal journey with this, my own personal battles with this, but also to share so many others' stories, insights, and connections to the pediatric cancer world. It really has given me a great opportunity to be able to share so many different ways that we can see this community and we can see how things affect us all in different but unique ways. And one thing that I talked about in the very, very beginning of this podcast, if you are a longtime listener and you remember how I started it, the one thing that I really talked about was my own personal perspective as a father. And I've had my wife on to talk about her insight as well, but also my daughter. And today I'm going to talk about something that is really, really common, I think, in the fact, and something that we talk about, but maybe we don't get as detailed as we should. And I think people see it in very, very different lenses. And I'm talking today about memories. Specifically, if you are on social media and you have, particularly Facebook, and you look at Facebook every single day, you can go in and it will show you memories of years past on that specific day. And it has always been interesting to me. And I remember when JC first passed, that the first thing I did every single morning is I got online and I looked at the Facebook memories because I wanted to see exactly the way the things were a year ago. If we could tell if there were, because at that point it was really about, could we have caught something different? Did we miss something? Or we're looking for the look in her eyes or how she was feeling, anything at all. We're kind of looking for those insights because could we have done something different? Now, what I will say is that really is a bad habit. I wouldn't recommend it because you put yourself in a lot of what if situations and what if situations that we can't control. There's nothing we can do to make it any different. And unfortunately, it really is a negative side effect to all of this on top of so many is that we find ourselves questioning whether or not we could have done something differently, whether we could have fixed it, whether we could have caught it early. And we spend all of our time and efforts doing that. And it really can be a detriment to our own mental health. But today, a memory popped up the other day and I was able to see this, and I go through pictures all the time, and it was one that is very specific. And I don't usually script anything for this show. It usually is, coming out as I'm thinking about it. If it's conversations, it's kind of going through the motions of, how that conversation evolves with somebody else, and that's how I do the show. Today I did take some notes and I want to kind of go through it in that manner. Last week I talked about if I ran for office, and it is a series that I've done through other social media platforms, but I wanted to kind of give my thoughts on how we could fix a broken system. So I used it for that manner, and I will continue to talk about that. So continue to follow me here, and on all of my social media you'll continue to see me talk about how we can fix a system to actually work for real life. I've talked about advocacy and how, we travel back and forth to DC and to Madison, and we do the best that we can to really continue to keep our daughter's memory, her voice, her legacy alive, and work for so many other families to get their voices out there. Never let their children's names be unsaid and unheard. Let their voices be unheard. So I've talked about that. But again, today is about memories, and it's about that moment, the unfortunate moment after the fight ends. And for so many of us in this community, we face that unthinkable of hearing our children's last breaths, their last heartbeat, as they go to a better place, to a place where we know that they're whole again. And we truly believe that here, that she's in heaven. We truly believe that she gives us signs. We truly do believe that one day we'll be together again, and that everything that she faced here in the negative side of it, all of the chemo treatments, what it did to her body, what it took away from her, she left all of that behind here. And she got completely made whole again in heaven. And we feel that truly in our hearts. And that's part of how I think we're able to get up and do what we do every single day, is because we have to realize that. And we've kind of come to peace with the fact that she's okay now. Now, I still believe in my heart there's no better place in the world for your child than right with you at that moment, to always be next to you, and so that you can take care of them and watch them grow and see all that they can become. But in the instance that we faced and everything that we saw, we feel like she's in a better place now because she's not suffering. But the moment after that fight ends it's not the diagnosis, it's not the treatment, it's not the bell ringing, it's not any of that. It's the final goodbye. And in those final seconds, in those seconds where you're waiting for the definitive words for us, it was a hospice nurse, the definitive words, she's gone. In those final seconds, your brain does a million different things, and you're trying to kind of wrap your head around what just happened, but you're also at the same time trying to figure out how you're going to move forward with your day and telling everybody that has been so supportive of you. And for me, in the beginning, it was I had to go to 2 different rooms in my house, and I had to tell my other 2 daughters that she's gone. And that was hard. That was really, really rough. And yeah, I think anybody can understand that. But in that moment, there were no smiles, no celebration, no milestones. In the picture that I'm talking about, and you'll probably see it on social media, if you follow me, you'll see it on there in the next day or so, is her hands and my wife and I holding her hands. And that's it. No faces, no emotion, no anything, just us holding her hands for the final time. And there's a very distinct and telling silence in that matter. After spending 520 days of her going through this every single day, waking up, not knowing what the day was going to bring, how she was going to feel after machines beeping all the time, after, running out of battery, clogs, timers going off when it's time for the next dose of medicine. After all of that, there's nothing. There's no sounds. And that is so telling. Because at that moment, we could just be with her. We were just there with her. And we held her. And we told her it was okay. We told our 8-year-old daughter at that moment that it's okay to let go, that it's okay to go be in heaven, that it's okay to chase rainbows. We told her that it was okay to let go. And as a parent, it is the complete opposite of what you think you will ever say to your child, because we told her for 520 days, keep fighting. We need you here. Keep fighting. We can't live without you. We need to have you here with us. And in that moment, we knew that the best place for her to be was heaven, because she was struggling so much, and her body was tired, and her mind was tired. And there's a peace. It's not relief. I will tell you, and I've said it every single day since she passed, and if I've ever talked to anybody else about this personally, or if their child has passed, or if they're in those unfortunate final stages that we can see and kind of notice and recognize now, that it's not relief. Relief is the wrong word. You're not relieved that your child is gone. You're not relieved that they've passed. You're at peace with the fact that they don't have to worry anymore. Because if anybody out there understands this, it's parents that have been in this situation, and they're still in this situation, that these kids care more about us, and they care more about how we're going to survive, how we're going to live, how we're going to be without them than they do themselves. And they do that in a way that makes you feel so secure in knowing that they're going to be okay. And I think at that moment when her heart stopped beating and her breath stopped, and you could feel all the limpness in her hands, not holding on to yours anymore. We knew that she was gone, but we knew that she was gone far before that, and that she was with us in that moment, ensuring that we were going to be okay, ensuring that we were going to be able to survive without her there with us. And I still don't know how. I still don't know how every day. I really don't. I think that, yes, we can say, and I can tell you now that I'm at peace with the fact that she's not hurting anymore, that she's not constantly, worried about something, constantly worried about whether or not she's going to have to go to the hospital again, constantly worried about why she, was losing the ability to do the things that she could do months earlier. And I think that, a lot of that stuff can help you kind of manage how you feel in that moment. They can manage how you feel in that second, but it's very hard to explain why things in your mind kind of allow you to go to that place and be okay in that situation. And the next day I woke up, and I remember I laid on the couch, and I hadn't slept that much. I had a blanket there, that was hers, and I didn't cry because I had cried enough that day, that night, that morning. Again, I remember asking my wife, is it okay? Is it okay to be happy? Is it okay to smile? And we make that, I think, a daily part of our life now, is remembering Oldest now, she's going to be a junior in college next semester, next year. Our 17-year-old, she'll be in college at the same time, so we'll have a junior and a freshman in college. And we always talk about their milestones, but we also love to talk about JC. We love to talk about how she made us laugh, how she was goofy, how, what she would have been like, what would she have done at this age? Would she have been riding their coattails and driving them crazy? And absolutely, we love to do that because, I see this and I see memories in pictures and I can go back and remember those minutes and those seconds and I can remember how it made me feel and I can remember everything leading up to it and everything after it. I also love to be able to take all of those memories and find good things in them. And that really helps me. It helps me get through my day-to-day life. And I've talked about this, and as I kind of jump around a little bit, I've talked about this in the past, and I really started this. Like, if you actually go back to my very first episode, it's called A Dad's Perspective. And that's me as a dad, which you don't see a lot of us on the front lines of this. You don't see a lot of us on the front lines talking or having speeches or TED Talks or on social media. You really see a lot of, I would say a majority are moms on the front line. And there's nothing wrong with all of that. I just think there's a dynamic that almost keeps us out of the limelight. And I think it's societal. I think it's history. I think there's a lot of different aspects that keep us not really out there in the front. And it's almost as if society does not make a space for fathers to grieve. My wife and I, we grieve totally different. We're not even in the same ballpark. We talk about things differently. We remember things. We remember the same things, but our feelings are different about those same memories. And it's very, very telling how we're able to do that every single day. But at the same time, I don't really talk a lot about stuff like this, out like behind the scenes. Like, I use social media, I use this podcast, I use that as my outlet, as my therapy. But I would really love to have more and more father stories being told because we carry things differently. We're in a position, I think, in society where we're supposed to be strong. We're supposed to support our spouses, our house. We're supposed to handle things. We're supposed to somehow know the answers or somehow know how to fix stuff. And there's no time left in the day for us to sit down and cry, for us to sit down and be sad, for us to sit down and worry anything else. We are focused on the family, focused. I think that's what I feel like what I'm supposed to do is that. But at the same time, and I think so many out there need time to just be sad and time to just grieve and time to cry and time to be upset and not be judged because you're simply the male figure, you're the father, you're the dad, you're the husband, you're all of that, and you don't feel like you can really let that out, and that's difficult, and it's difficult to understand. And in that moment, before the hospice nurse walked over and had her stethoscope and put it on JC's chest. In that moment, I was just a dad. I was just holding her hand and wishing that I could trade places with her. And I prayed for that from the day she was diagnosed, that I could just trade places with her. Allow all of that pain and suffering to come to me, to put on my shoulders, to go through my body and not go through her. And I think all parents do that. And I think they feel that way. But we found a way in all of that as a father, as a husband, and my wife as a mother, and grieving parents, and then our other two daughters, grieving the loss of their sibling, but still finding ways to keep her alive in their day-to-day life. We found ways to turn all of that pain into a purpose. And no parent, no sibling should ever have to understand what it's like to say goodbye to their child, to their sister. They should never have to understand what that's like. They should never, ever have to get up at any point in their life and say, man, I wish I knew what she would be like today. Because I think we have a general idea, but she always surprised us. But we turned that pain into purpose. That's why Battlecorn was created. That's why we advocate. That's why the podcast started. That's why we push so damn hard to create something incredible and change the world, or at least ensure that our child, that our daughter that her legacy is secured because she left behind a mission for us to complete. And that's what we're trying to do. She is more than just a picture. She's more than just a picture of us holding her hands. But you see her holding on. You see us holding on, not wanting to let go, not wanting to really come to terms or come to the realization that that's the last time that she would sleep in that bed, that that's the last time we'd be able to hold her hands, that that's the last time we'd be able to hug our daughter. And we didn't want to at that moment. That picture changed everything. And see, when I start out, I talk about how this was going to be about memories. And that one memory says so much in such a small picture. It says absolutely everything. It's about holding on. It's about letting go. It's about peace. It's about pain. It's about turning all that into something incredible, knowing that that last image of us holding her hands solidified the fact that she will always be a part of every single thing that we do, solidified the fact that no matter what happens in a day-to-day basis, no matter what happens to any of us, that she will be right there with us and we will be holding on to her. And there's another picture that I have out there actually that is just her hand and my hand, and that's all it is. And I remember we took that picture prior to her relapse, and that picture in a sense said so much, because after we came home the first time from the hospital, after we came home and we're going through all of that, and when she was home, no matter what you did, she wanted to be with you. No matter where you went, she wanted to be with you, and she wanted to hold your hand, and never, ever would I ever turn that down, and my wife wouldn't either. And it says so much, because that in that image shows it kind of comes full circle. We all have those, as parents, I feel like we all have those images of their very first time that they held your finger after being born. And this was, again, coming all the way around to the very first time she held our hands, and this was the very last time. And we captured that moment because we knew of the impact. I knew the impact that it was going to have on me for years and years to come, for the rest of my life, that we were never going to let her go. We were never going to let her walk into any heaven's gates, no matter what, no matter how safe we felt. We were never going to let her walk there alone. We were never going to allow her to be forgotten. And we were going to do everything in this world to ensure that she was remembered. And holding her hand like that, I wish that I could do it again. Man, I think I've talked about it in the past, and, maybe I'll talk about it again at some point. But I did have kind of an experience, paranormal, if you will, depending on if you believe in that stuff or not. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter to me if you believe in it or not. I felt something incredible not too long after she passed, and I feel like it was once again her holding my hand and letting me know that it was okay. And I have never felt, I think, more at peace in a moment than I did that time after she passed, in this experience that I had. I've never felt more at peace. And she's always giving us signs, always. And I hate if a day goes by and you don't see a rainbow, or you don't see, a bird outside that reminds us of her. Or you don't see something in the house that reminds us, or a memory pops up. Those are so necessary in the healing process. JC wasn't just a patient. She wasn't just a brain cancer warrior. She was a joy. She was a light. She was stubborn in the best ways possible. If she didn't want to do something, she wasn't doing it. And she made you well aware of the fact that she wasn't doing it. And going through these treatments, there was plenty of times that we could have pushed. We could have pushed harder for her to something simple as rinsing her teeth with a sponge, which became more or less just put the sponge in her mouth and spit it out. She didn't really do anything with it. But at that point, those little things, I felt like, you know what? You've earned the right to say, screw this. I don't want to do it. And I'm not going to fight with you about it. I'm not going to force you into it. And it was just little things like that. She decided how things were going to go. But she was just ours. She was just our ray of sunshine, and she lit up a room. She was going to be famous, but it was going to be on her terms. She had decided when the camera was going to be on. She decided when she was going to do that stuff. And after she passed, she used to use my phone for TikTok, and I had literal hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of draft videos that she would just record and never post, because she just loved to do it. And I started posting those because that was her. That was her. That was who she was. And, I've I've honestly been, I think, struggling quite a bit lately in my mind and not really telling anybody about it. So, surprise, I'm telling you now. I've been struggling quite a bit lately because I miss her terribly. I want so badly for things that we're working on to come to fruition, and it is becoming so hard to continue to watch things slow roll, to fail, to not get the traction that it needs, and so much to see society just kind of cast us off again until the next government official does something that you can absolutely attach, kids onto. And it's tough because in July she'll be gone for 5 years. And in my mind, I think that in those 5 years we should have been able to get something to happen. Legislation, funding, some kind of research, something happening in that sense. Sorry, I can't find the words for it. We have a program that we're working on now that I'm very, very confident is something that will happen. But, again, I have no patience for this because we've been going at it for a decent amount of time now. And I just know that every single day that we don't have something good coming out of what we're trying to do is another day that a child doesn't have. So it's been a struggle for me lately because I want to see all of this success and I want to see all this progress and forward movement. And when you go every single day and you keep pushing and you keep trying and you just don't see it happening, it is a mental mind fuck. And I don't apologize for my language. I never have, never will. It is an absolute mental mind fuck, and it never seemed like it would be this difficult. It never seemed like it would be so hard to get the support that you need to create something incredible. But I will say this, the people that are in our corner, the people that are in our inner circle, they're the most incredible people on this planet, and you all know who you are. You're the most incredible people. I'm so proud to know you. I'm so proud to call you family. And I know the support is there. And I know we'll figure something out. And I know that we will come together and we will create something incredible for these kids. Because as I've said before, we couldn't save JC. We could not save her. And I think a lot of people will look at those things and say, why do you keep doing this? If you're really no longer in this battle, why would you keep going? And it's because we couldn't save her, but we really do believe that we can take what we've learned along the way and we can save others. We want to be a resource. We want to be, we don't want to be trendsetters. We want to create blueprints that can be used across the country because I am very, very adamant about anything that I try, whether it's legislative ideas, the idea that we're working on with a community partner right now, any of that stuff. I'm very, very adamant about the fact that nothing we do is going to be proprietary. I don't want it to be proprietary. I want it to be something that you could utilize and you could take across the country and do anywhere. Because what benefit is it to us if it's not a benefit to everybody else? That doesn't make any sense to me. No more than it makes sense to see research and clinical trials and studies that are going on or some types of different protocols that are going on in some other state or some other country that either we don't have access to or the doctors or the teams or this whatever that are doing it are not providing access. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. Because if we're not working together, we're working against each other. And how does that fix anything? If nothing else, it makes it worse. Because while you are perfecting something, other people are suffering waiting for that to come to them, to be available to them. So I don't want anything proprietary done. I want everything to be done in a sense of a blueprint. That's what I want. And that's what we're going to continue to do. But like I said, it is no secret, I don't think, that it is a struggle right now. It is hard to do this every day and feel like you don't have a lot to show for it. I respect so many people that are doing this. I respect so many people, and I appreciate people that reach out to me and say that we're doing amazing work. And that really is what I want to hear. I want to hear that we're doing amazing work because that means you're feeling it. That means you're hearing about it. And that means you can take what we're doing and you can apply it where you are too. Love getting emails and cards in the mail and stuff like that about how our care packages do so much to brighten the day of somebody that is going through something hard. And that is so important to us because that is a huge part of JC's legacy that we are trying to carry on. Her giving back to other people, even when she was going through this, is exactly the way that she would hold their hands, theoretically, the way that she would hold their hands, not theoretically, but symbolically, in this mission and say, hey, I'm here for you. I've been through this. I know what you're going through. Let me give this to you. Let me give you a little bit of something that will make you smile and take your mind off of it. So I want everybody out there listening to understand something. If you're a parent that is walking this, if you're a parent that is going through this, a recent diagnosis, you're in the middle of treatment, you're in maintenance, unfortunately, or the unfortunate spot that you've lost your child, and you're in the grieving stage now, and you're trying to really find a purpose to what you can do from here on out, what you're going to do, how you're going to react, all of that, you're not alone. You will never, ever be alone. All you have to do is know where the resources are to ensure that you've always got somebody to talk to or to listen to you, to be there for you. By all means, we are not hard to find. Our family is not hard to find and not hard to get a hold of. So please look for us on all of our social media. You can go to our website, battlecornglobal.org. Contact is there. If you ever just want somebody to talk to, if you want to come on this podcast and have a conversation, whatever you need to do, there's many avenues. So please know that you're not alone in this. If you're listening to this podcast, if you have tuned in and you've really just wanted to get a sense of what we're doing and what we have been through, the things you don't see on TV, the things you don't see through commercials, if you've never ever experienced what we've experienced, I hope you never ever have to. But that's part of why we continue to do this, because we want to end this epidemic of pediatric cancer. We want to end it so that nobody ever has to deal with what we're dealing with, what we have dealt with, what we've seen, what we've heard, what we've paid out of pocket, every aspect of that, okay? From job loss to money loss to relationship destruction to families being torn apart to making decisions in a second that you would normally take days, months, years to really think about and research. Decisions that you have, for us, sign waivers for your child to go and have surgery on the back of a tissue box at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, because that's all they have, and you have to make that choice right then. We hope you never have to understand any of that. That's why we're trying to fight so hard, so that we can eliminate this damn disease and you can just look every single day at your child growing up, watch them become what they're supposed to become, watch them make you proud, watch them make memories that will go on and on and on and on that you'll be able to make with them as well. That doesn't have to be a memory you're making because you know you're going to lose them. I truly hope you understand though, why we do this. By me explaining all of this to you, I hope you can understand why. I hope you can realize why it's so important every single day that we wake up and every single day that we go to sleep, hoping and praying, but also knowing that we're doing the best that we can to ensure they don't have to ever be forgotten and that they don't ever have to lose their voice, and that our mission will always be that they have the best opportunity to have their legacies secured no matter what the outcome. This seems like it might have been a little bit more of a deep episode, and I'm not going to apologize. We can come on here and we can have a good time. We can talk and we can talk about the good things, and we can have conversations with families and with mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters and warriors alike, organizations, medical professionals. We can have those conversations that ultimately can really talk about the good times that we've had and talk about the positive things that have been left behind by our children. And we can talk about all of those great things that we do every single day to ensure that their memories are alive. But there comes a time, like I said right now, I'm struggling with a lot of things. I'm struggling mentally with continuing everything that we're doing and not really seeing the success that I want to see, not seeing it happen in a way that proves that people actually care, or proves that it's something good is going to come out of all of this. And so I struggle with that. And I don't talk about it enough, and I probably should talk about it more. And in our position, like I said, a lot of people end up going into therapy like for this, but I use this as my therapy. I use this as my outlet, and I appreciate all of you for tuning in. I appreciate all of you for listening. I appreciate all of you for giving me just a little bit of your time, a little bit of your day every week to open up and talk about the things that are the most important to me, to share as many stories as I can with other family members, with other mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters, and all of the avenues that are connected to this community, and giving them those opportunities to be able to share those stories, because it is so damn important that we never, ever, ever stop. Because if we ever stop, then we'll never succeed in actually seeing something good come out of such a terrible time. So to all of the families like ours, to all of the families and to the kids like JC, to all of the amazing warriors out there, to all of those that have laid down your swords and now protect us from above, to all of the families that have watched their children go through this, and to the ones that have lost their children, to the children that won their battle, to all of the brothers and the sisters, the aunts, the uncles, to all of the medical professionals and the child life specialists that all take such a close relationship with these children and these families and get to know them and get to understand them. To all of you, we are here for you. We thank you all for being such incredible supporters of what we've done. We support you and everything that you do. To all of those angels, we love you and we miss you. And we know one day we're going to see you again, but we also know that you're whole. We also know that you left all of the negative stuff behind. We know that you've left all that on the table, and we are here to continue to carry on your legacy, and we are proud and honored to do that. So to everybody, thank you all. Thank you for listening to me and continuing to kind of detail our story a little bit. Thank you for understanding the meaning of one picture, the picture that meant we were never going to let go, the picture that meant that we were going to hold her close forever. Thank you for understanding that when we share stories on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, when we share stories here, that we are inviting you in to a behind-the-scenes look at our family and to this community. And we thank you for continuing to allow us to do that. So I will see you guys next week. Have a great one.